Can you want me like the other boys do? They stare at me while I stare at you.
What's going on? My name's Valerie Daisy. Welcome to my channel. So today's video is going to be another foundation review. I find myself doing these a lot. There's a ton of new foundations coming out and I'm just like, and when I heard that Tarte was coming out with a clay stick foundation, I was like, I want to get my paws on them because I have still yet to find a foundation stick that I like. The only other one that I've tried is the Hourglass Vanish stick, and I don't know. I just wasn't a very big fan of it. I have a video on it. If you guys want to watch it, I'll go ahead and link it down below. So yeah, that's what today's video is going to be. I know this might be a little long overdue. 6 came out a couple weeks ago, well, a lot of weeks ago, and I'm just now making a video of it. I just needed a little bit more time to kind of just play with it and try it differently and just gather my opinion on it because I didn't know whether I liked it or not. It was probably one of the most difficult foundations to come to a conclusion with. So if you guys are interested in these amazing right here, then go ahead and keep on watching, and thank you so much for watching. Let's get on into the video. So to get moving in this video, I'm gonna go ahead and run you by the basics. I pulled up on the iPad tartecosmetics.com, and yeah, I'm just gonna get all of that nitty-gritty stuff out of the way and then give you my honest opinion because that's what we're here for, really. Anybody can read. I'm gonna go ahead and link it also at the bottom so you guys can have a visual on that as well. So they call this little puppy the Clay Stick Foundation. It comes in 12 shades, which I think is a little... oh, they need to do a little better on that. And it retails for $39. So what you get in this foundation is 9 grams or 0.32 ounces. Standard amount in a foundation is 1 fluid ounce. So the fact that this has 0.32 is a little weird. And I mean, what else can you expect from a stick foundation to begin with? So yes, 0.32 ounces or 9 grams. So now I'm going to read you the product description as it is said on the website. So it says, have you fed your skin lately? Our 12-hour creamy matte clay stick feeds your appetite for weightless natural coverage and good for you nutrients. Hashtag feed your flawless. I like how they are comparing it to food. It's just me, I don't know. Now, this is how they would apply it. For medium coverage, apply with the Smoothie Blender foundation brush, which I did not purchase and I do not have. Just because, to begin with, I was never a brush girl. Always done everything with my sponge, so... For fuller coverage, apply with a blending sponge. Let that sink a little bit. That's kind of weird and kind of reverse of how we usually do it. Usually if you wanted fuller coverage, you use a brush. If you wanted a more airbrush, lightweight, very not so heavy application of foundation, you would use a sponge. So the fact that they're telling you that a sponge will apply it a little bit more heavy, it's a little odd. Twist the foundation and swipe directly onto skin, concentrating coverage at the center of your face to cover redness, uneven skin tone, hyperpigmentation, pores, and other imperfections. Blend outward toward the jaw and hairline using a foundation brush or blending sponge. And one of their tips is dot and blend foundation directly over acne spots or scars to conceal or wear it a few shades lighter or darker as a creamy highlighting and contouring stick. This foundation is vegan, it's hyperallergenic, it has a 12-hour power, it's dermatologist tested, it's sulfate free, and it's formulated without gluten, talc, and artificial fragrances, which I think is badass. Like, you go Tarte for making vegan products out there for all of our vegan members in this world. Like, thank you so much. Just for being very aware of your audiences, basically. So this is what the foundation looks like. It comes looking very standard to the majority of their products. It's just like this little matte brown with detailing package. It says Tarte, it says clay stick down here, fondant. At the top, it has this little rubber gummy kind of thing going on here. It looks like a tiger eye. I thought that was kind of cute, kind of like different, you know what I mean? Which I enjoy different, it's nice. At the bottom, you have the name of the shade and just the standard. This lasts for 12 months after opening. A year, you got a year to use this up. I'm sure. I'm sure won't make the year. And then when you open it, you pop the top off. That's what you get. Obviously, I've used this a ton already, so we're already coming down. Just for comparison, I've used this one a little bit less than this one because I started using it when I was tan, but then my tan faded, so now I'm only using this one, which is why I've used more. But just so you can kind of see the difference. This probably, it doesn't go up much higher after. Let me roll these down before they pop off. Oh my god. That is the nitty gritty of this foundation. Now let's go ahead and talk about the real results from me and my opinion. I literally just stopped this video so I can eat my lunch real quick because I was hungry. But let's get back into it, right? Where we left off. So you're probably wondering why I have 2 foundation sticks with me. Like one wasn't enough, like what's going on, get it together. But to be honest, that is one of the things that I dislike the most about this. The fact that the shades are very difficult to find. For the most part, everybody that I've tried to color match with it, they have been 2 foundations mixed together. And I don't think that's awesome because obviously it's a lot more money you're spending, and the fact that you need to buy 2 to get your perfect shade, that's something that they really need to work on, to be honest. When I was tan, I was able to mix Fair Light Neutral and Tan Deep Honey together and it was okay. But now that I'm not tan, fortunately enough, I can use Fair Light Neutral by itself. Of course, with a little bit of bronzer and contour and things like that, it works out. But I couldn't use this one alone with my tan. I had to use both together, which is very inconvenient. That's the one thing that I don't like about this foundation, that they have 12 shades that are very weird looking and not very realistic, I think. My opinion, really. So yeah, that's number 1 con that I found with this. Now, how does it wear? They say that it's matte. Is it good for dry skin? Is it good for sensitive skin, combination skin, normal skin, oily skin? For comparison reasons, I have normal skin. It's not dry, it's not oily, it's just literally normal. I have friends who have used it and they have oily skin. They really liked it. It did get a little dewy, and that's as expected with a stick, I feel like a clay stick foundation. Did you see that bug fly in the video frame? Nice one, bud. Anyways, this is where the video gets tricky because like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with this foundation. I love it, but I don't at the same time. It's very weird. When it goes on initially, I love the way it looks. It looks like a natural finish. And supposedly this is supposed to kind of basically adjust to your certain skin type, whether you're oily or dry. It does say that it's matte, but its finish is, to me, pretty natural. It's like has a little luminosity to it, but not so much that it's like super oily and dewy looking. I don't know how much of that is true or if that works, but for me, when it first goes on, it looks beautiful. It looks flawless, it looks poreless, which is one thing. When this came out and I was looking at the pictures that Tarte was posting, I was like, that picture doesn't do this foundation justice, girl. Like, I had a very big feeling I wasn't gonna like it. Now, I tried it. I did like it when it initially went on. I thought it didn't accentuate any pores. It looked smooth. It looked good for a foundation stick. And then as I wore it throughout the day, I noticed that it did come off in my bronzer contour area, which is very unfortunate. I don't know why. I did set my face prior to bronzing and contouring, if you're wondering, and it's still kind of, I don't know, you know, like when you put on foundation and you set your foundation and then you go on with bronzer and you're with the brush, I felt like it was in that moment where the foundation just kind of like erupted and separated, and it just looked blotchy and patchy in that area only. That's the only problem I had it in. It seems to stay really nicely in the center of the face. It did get slightly dewy as I wore it, and I do like to test my foundations out for more than 6 hours. So this foundation to me isn't a very long wearing one. If you're looking for a foundation that's gonna wear very long, I do not think that it is 12 hours as it says, which is another unfortunate thing, and that's coming from me with normal skin. That being said, I think it's something that's more so for a few hours. If you're going for a night out, I wouldn't recommend it. If you're going for something like quick and easy in the morning that you're gonna be able to touch up as well as maybe even take off soon, then I do recommend it. Because I was having such problems with the foundation kind of separating in this area, I did decide to try different primers with it to give you guys a full round basis of this product and how it works differently with other primers, because I'm sure not everybody uses the same primer as me. So just to give you a heads up, I tried it with the Hangover Too Faced primer, I tried it with the Becca Backlight, I tried it with the Cover FX mattifying primer, the NARS Poreless and Refining primer, and I also did the Tarte Clean Slate Smoothing primer. And last but not least, I did try it also with the Photo Finish Oil Primer. I feel like it worked best with this, maybe because it's an oil, and since it's a cream stick, kind of just blends really nicely. But I don't know how many of you like using an oil as a primer, especially if you have oily skin. Usually I apply my foundation with a sponge. I found that with this clay stick, I preferred with a brush. The Morphe S95, S94 to be exact. It's a flat top kabuki, and I loved using this to apply this foundation. It does go on really nicely with a sponge, so if you're not a brush girl, I totally understand you, girl. Me too. But it works really well with this, and it kind of blends out, which is weird. It just goes on really nice with a brush, and you're gonna see this in the demo. I'm gonna split my face into two-faced, and I'm gonna do this side with a brush, and I'm gonna do this side with a sponge, just so you guys can get a feel for how it looks when it's going on and the coverage that it gives, just so that I'm not here sitting with a full face of makeup telling you that this is awesome without giving you proof, right? Come on, let's go. This is how I apply it. Bam. Bam. I'm just going to just buff this into the skin. That's one side blended with the flat brush. And then for this side, I'm gonna go in with my beauty blender and just pounce that in. So it did apply more sheer, I feel, with the blender. I do really like the brush for blending out this foundation, particularly just because it's a very creamy formula. With the beauty blender, I find that I have to kind of like pounce harder and kind of like also swirl the blender as I would a brush. So I just figured, why not just save yourself time and just use a brush. Also, I have redness peeking through here because my skin is very easily irritated, so any little kind of like mess around with my skin and it gets red like this, like a rash. I have a little post breakout right here, didn't really cover that, and you can still see a little redness on my cheeks. So I'm gonna go in with another layer just so I can show you guys how it builds. So this is what another layer looks like. It does, you can see it, and I don't know, it's very weird. Like you feel it, but you don't feel it at the same time. Still see a little bit of that post breakout, a little bit of redness peeking through. I don't think we need to do any more layers of foundation. I think any more than 2 is a little excessive, and I just think you should just find another foundation that's a lot more fuller coverage if you want something to cover. So, yo. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of my makeup. I'm gonna go ahead and do concealer, powder, bronzer, all that type of stuff, and I will come right back and we will talk further on this. All in all, I do like it for short periods of time. I don't love it. I'm not in love with the product. It does not match up to my Born This Way from Too Faced, which is my all-time favorite, or the Stellar Limitless foundation. Those are by far my 2 favorite ones, and this, you know, this was better than Hourglass, which is amazing, but still not my favorite. I do recommend that you try it. Maybe for you it's amazing. Everybody's skin type is different, so who knows? Maybe you like it more than I do. I'm gonna give it from 1 to 5, 5 being the best foundation ever. I'm probably gonna give it maybe like a 4. A solid 4, if not 3.5, 3.999. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for clicking on, and stay tuned for our next foundation review. I have another one up on deck for you guys, so I'll see you in that video. I love you so much.